Will any of Texas feel this storm, Blake?
The answer is yes, Lynn, but it will be minimal. We're talking about some gusty winds coming out of the northeast as the storm passes to our east. We're also looking at big marine impacts, big swells, maybe some minor coastal flooding as well. As we take a look at the satellite, you can see it is certainly a much larger system than it was when it was back out to the southeast of the Yucatan. As it's moved over the landmass there, the frictional impacts of the storm sort of caused the wind field to expand a little bit. So the storm is a little bit bigger than it was yesterday, but a lot weaker as well, going from a Category 4 down to a Category 1. But nonetheless, we are expecting re-strengthening with this system. Here's a look at the visible satellite. We're not really seeing an eye at this point, not yet, but we are anticipating that eye will open once it pushes towards the central Gulf, meaning that the storm will begin to strengthen again as it pushes towards the northern Gulf Coast. The strengthening should be temporary, as we are expecting it to re-weaken as it approaches the southwest Louisiana coast, and that is certainly some good news as far as the impacts go, because obviously we want this storm to be as weak as possible when it approaches the land. So 85 mile an hour winds, I should say, with this particular system moving to the north and west at 17. Here's the brand new cone from the National Hurricane Center coming in at 4 o'clock. They're expecting a landfall with winds of around 105 miles an hour. And to put that in perspective, Hurricane Ike back in 2008 made landfall with winds of about 110 miles an hour. So a little bit of comparison there to help you understand just what the impacts are going to be with this system. Now, if you look carefully, the pink goes all the way north to Alexandria. That is a hurricane watch. So we're looking at impacts well inland with this storm as it continues to quickly race on up to the north and east. This system is not expected to stall. But nonetheless, I'll tell you what, the agreement in the computer models, it does not get any more unanimous than this. Clearly, it is going to move just to the east of Lake Charles. At least that is the forecast at this point. Minimal impacts here along the upper Texas coast. Again, relegated to mainly just some gusty winds and some large swells and some minor coastal flooding. So this is what's interesting. The hurricane hunters are going to be flying this system on and off throughout the next couple of days, but you'll notice this one going from Biloxi, Mississippi out towards San Antonio. That is because they are evacuating all of the aircraft out of Biloxi just in case the system were to jog a little bit further to the east. But nonetheless, the hurricane hunters are going to be flying this continuously until the storm makes landfall. And speaking of landfall, we're looking at tropical storm force winds affecting the southwest Louisiana coast as early as Friday morning. What you see here in the orange is hurricane force winds. Those will be pushing in around noon. And then what you see in the red here, we're talking about major hurricane force winds possible as it pushes towards the coastline, getting into early Friday afternoon. Now, in comparison to Laura's track, you'll notice this is going to be just a little bit to the east, and they certainly don't need any more wind issues as far as hurricanes go. Now, why is it going to miss East Texas? Well, we can thank you to a trough of low pressure that's going to continue to drop down into southeast Texas. The high to the east and the trough to the west opens a little bit of a gap here, and the hurricane is going to shoot right through there, and again sparing most of southeast Texas big impacts, and that is certainly good news. So as we take a look at the next 7 days, Lynn, we're talking about generally some rain bands moving through on Friday before a beautiful weekend ahead.
We keep dodging these big storms. Thank you, Blake. Make sure you're ready for anything with the KHOU Severe Weather Guide. Download yours at khou.com/severe weather or text weather to 713-526-1111.